dollar or rupees, or some other things would be here. And moreover, what we can say intermediary. Now, what we used to do in this, suppose I'm just going ahead with the, we are talking about flight, we are talking about some wallet, we are talking about bank. So everywhere we have some of the concept in such a way. Suppose if I wanted to talk about the banks, if I wanted to talk about the some commodity exchanging, if I wanted to talk about documentation, if I talk about airways, if I talk about some community, if I talk about construction, you know, if I talk about construction, if I talk about community, if I talk about bank, suppose bank, community, transaction, document, airways, something, or we can say construction. Construction. So now how the traditional blockchain, we can say how the traditional business network in blockchain, how it's just working over here. What are the scenarios will be? So suppose if I talk about this one, construction, it is depend on this one, it is depend on intermediary, it is depend on intermediately, it is depend on intermediary, and this all the things are depend on intermediately. Yeah, intermediary. So what exactly the scenarios? This is, we can say it is our traditional view, in which manner we used to work on normal ways, how we used to work in normal ways. The same scenarios when we are talking about blockchain, the same scenarios. So what we used to have same things in this manner: bank, construction, airways, document, transaction, community, all the things we have, and all the things is connected to each other. All the things are connected to each other. How they have connected? They have connected in this manner. They have connected in this manner. This is connected this here. This is connected here. This is connected here. This is connected here, and then in this manner, all the data connected to each other. All the way to connect it to each other. Whatever the nodes we have, all the nodes are connected to each other. So what is the traditional view for the business network? We can say traditional view for the business network. Business network. And here is a blockchain view for the business network. Blockchain view for the business network. How we used to go ahead with the business network traditional view in this manner. We have some of the mediatory will be here. We have intermediary. In this, we don't have any intermediary over here, right? So we don't have intermediary, any of the intermediary. So what we can say it's a completely pure distributed application. And this is centralized. We can say it is a centralized, so that in a such a way we are just coming up with the blockchain. So this is exactly the blockchain, and this is only the reason the blockchain has introduced into the market. Blockchain has introduced into the market, but normally everything cannot go with the Ethereum. Everything cannot go with the Ethereum. How it cannot go to the Ethereum? What are the scenarios would be here? What we are doing here? What is the problem we have in traditional, when we are talking about traditional blockchain or business network? In a normal blockchain and business network, what is the problem we have? We have a problem in such a way that we required all the things think we have all the things here. This is all the things we have. And finally, what we are doing, this is expensive, a bit expensive, a bit rule wise. There is a governance, there is a proper governance, centralized governance. There is a rule wise. Now, what exactly the scenarios here we are talking about? Suppose if we are talking about Ethereum, so 100% we have to go with the Ether only. If we are going ahead with some other thing, so 100% we have to go with the Bitcoin only. So when we have some of the limitation on it, we have to go with the Ethereum only, Ether only, we have to go with the Bitcoin only. So what I wanted to do here, I just don't want it to do these other things. Apart from that, in traditional blockchain and a normal blockchain, when we can say public blockchain, when we can say public blockchain, what are the data would be here in this public blockchain? Every data is open. Everybody can come, can enter into the site. Everyone can enter into the chain, and anyone can mine it. Anyone can do the proof of work, proof of stake by the help of proof of work, proof of stake. Anyhow, you are aware about the proof of work, proof of stake. Uh, are you aware about the proof of work, proof of stake? Everyone? Where is that? This one. Yeah. Are you aware about the proof of work, proof of stake? What exactly the proof of work? What exactly the proof of stake? What is the meaning of proof of work, proof of stake? Are you aware about it? Can anyone tell me on the chat box? Yeah, very nice, quite good. So anyhow, everyone knows about the proof of work, proof of stake. Proof of work is nothing but when we are communicating with the physical equipment, when we are communicating with the physical equipment, at that time we are just talking about the proof of work. When we are talking about virtual currency, when we are talking about the currency to be stored in a blockchain and the person has given some of the maturity of that currency, then we just go ahead with the proof of stake. Some of the things they are supporting the proof of work, some of the chain they are supporting the proof of stake, and some blockchain they are not supporting the proof of work, proof of stake. They are supporting their own governance, their own currency, their own requirement, whatever the participants and all in that. There are three types of blockchain will be here. What are those three types of blockchain? Public blockchain, private blockchain, and consortium blockchain. Public blockchain, private blockchain, consortium blockchain. What exactly the public blockchain would be here? In public blockchain, any anonymous entity can enter into the chain. Any anonymous entity can do the mining. Any anonymous entity can work on any way in that blockchain.
Sir,
Whereas
screen not shared, sir.
screen is shared. What is the problem? Okay, let it be. Let me connect with my another network. Maybe there is a problem with the network. Let it be. Maybe I feel. Just hold on. Hotspot. I've connected with the Wi-Fi and this problem is occurred. Let me connect with the hotspot. Yeah. Now it is shared. Now my screen is visible to everyone. Hope now is it visible.
It's not, sir.
It's not yet.
Yeah. Now it is. Now it is okay.
No, it is okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I was telling you proof of work, proof of stake. Other scenarios when we are talking about the public blockchain, there are two things. One thing, Public blockchain is depend on the currency. Okay, whatever the currency would be here, currency is either Bitcoin, BTC, or ETH, Ether, or some other currencies, Zcash, and all the currencies would be here. So it is public blockchain is depend on this. Now, in public blockchain, there is a issue. What is the issue? It maybe can hack. I mean, maybe can hack. Maybe can hack is nothing but in which perspective maybe can hack, not in perspective of mathematical, not in perspective of programmatical. It's not possible in mathematical and programmatical the blockchain can be hacked, but yes, it can be hacked. It can be hacked by the percentage, it seems. Percentage. So how the percentage, how many percentage of the miners of this blockchain, how many percentage of the miner in this blockchain? So based on the percentage, it can be hacked, because anyhow everyone are aware about when we are just having that taking care of the data completely blockchain or any other organization. So we have a 51% shareholder community. 51% shareholder community. If you have a 51% shareholder, so you can do whatever you want with that application. So that's we have in traditional network, traditional blockchain, and a normal blockchain, public blockchain. Next one, we are in this public blockchain. What are the things we are doing? Anyone can enter, anyone can mine, anyone can create the block, anyone can create, anyone can do the transaction. Everyone is, everyone is freely to do anything. Whereas the second one, we have private blockchain. In private blockchain, what are the scenarios would be here? What are the things would be here? Anyone can view the data. Anyone can view the data, but the person who wanted to join on that blockchain, that person has to be validate by someone. That person has to be verified by someone. That identity has to be verified by the someone. So that's what exactly the consortium is, nothing but the view data. Also some of the person who got validate verified, storing the person, entering the person, also it got verified, and everything based on entity. And whatever the currency you wanted to keep, you can keep the currency as per your wish. So here we have consortium, here we have public, here we have private, you know. So now normally if I talk about public blockchain, so right now what I said okay boss, I have a public blockchain. So you do one thing, you just store your data, all the data you can store it. There's no problem on it, public blockchain. Now, okay, so what we are doing here, we are just entering into the data. We are just, data is view to everyone. Data can be mined to everyone, but some of the data in such a way, when we are talking about business, when we are talking about business, so that data cannot be viewed. So you cannot view in such a way, like Flipkart will come and Flipkart will openly will announce okay, hey, on 2020 I'm just going to give you on 10 rupee this product, and tomorrow and day after tomorrow this product, this strategy I'm following it. In that strategy, what we are doing here, are all the employees will work in this manner. All the employees, or all the employees will work in that manner. So these are the things they have internally, some of the internal scenarios they have, some of the things in such a way, the person, you wanted to buy something, you wanted to do the commodity exchange, or you wanted to do some of the export import. So in that we have lots of scenarios. Suppose what we wanted to do, I have something, I'll just take an example of one particular tomato. Okay, if you wanted to buy the tomato from Hyderabad locally, if you wanted to buy the tomato from Hyderabad locally, then you may get 20 rupee per kg. But the same tomato, if you wanted to brought from the Calcutta or Mumbai or Delhi. So from there, what are the scenarios would be here? We have lots of mediator involved in that. When lots of mediator involved in that, so what is the problem will be occurred? They have to, every mediator have the cutoff in this. Every mediator have the cutoff in this. When every mediator have the cutoff in that, all the data, so what finally we are just getting? Cost will be increased, maintenance will be increased, cost will be increased, and I don't want it to displayed into the public. Suppose any government tender, if any government tender is releasing, so that government, they won't go ahead with the public blockchain and can store the data. freely. Suppose somebody is asking you, okay, boss, blockchain has come right now. Nowadays, blockchain is here. So why we like from the blockchain, everything will be open, everything will be visible to everyone. And right now, you cannot do cheat from anyone. You cannot do the fraud from anyone. Yes, that's true. It is fine. I cannot do the cheat to everyone. I cannot do the fraud from anyone. Then what exactly the scenarios in blockchain, in public blockchain? Suppose you are going for the job. If you're going for the job, I wanted to keep the document in that. What is the document? Document is our resume. I wanted to store the resume into the blockchain. So do you think you wanted to display your resume to everyone? Everyone will come and can view the resume. There's no problem. Why the resume? No, you don't want it to do in such a way. What you wanted to do? You wanted to keep your resume in safer manner. And whenever you're going to some other company, so there you are giving some permission, and that permission also you are giving some of the information, some of the areas authentication to this area only that person will enter, and then the person will enter and will find out the resume over here. Sometime in business scenarios, they everything they are having hidden manner. So when we are talking about the hyperledger, one thing, we are working on hyperledger for the business perspective. We are not working on hyperledger for the commonly used, or we can say for the publicly. And the major role of hyperledger, major player of hyperledger, Accenture, major player of hyperledger, Google, Accenture, and the major like most user person of the hyperledger is IBM. IBM is the most user person of the hyperledger. They have released the hyperledger. And then finally, what we are doing here, we have just come up with the hyperledger. In that hyperledger, we have different of flavors. We can see it, the community of hyperledger. Let me show you the community of hyperledger. Hyperledger.org. Hyperledger.org. Here we have a hyperledger use participants. Okay, participants use distributed ledger, domain specific libraries, tool, tutorials, hyperledger certified service provider, vendor directory. Let it be this hyperledger certified service provider, or we can say this vendor dictionary, vendor directory. This is we are talking about tools, libraries, domain specific, and distributed ledger. Now, what is that? Advancing business blockchain adoption through the global open source collaboration. Open source collaboration. What exactly the meaning of open source? When we are talking about open source, even blockchain is an open source. When we are talking about open source, what do you feel in your mind? So open source is nothing but we used to feel we are getting free of cost. Open source is nothing but we are getting free of cost. No, it's not like open source you are getting free of cost the software. What exactly you are getting for open source? Consortium blockchain. Okay. See here, we have our public blockchain, we have our private blockchain, we have our consortium blockchain. What exactly the meaning of blockchain? This is the types of blockchain. I should not explain this into the hyperledger, but just giving you this public blockchain. In that public blockchain, anyone can enter, anyone can do the mining, anyone can. What is it? Why it's not displaying the screen? Oh, what is it? Desktop. Now is it okay? Everything is visible now? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. PPT hidden by, no, I'm not like right now till now I just not gone through the PPT. Okay, let me open the PPT also. There's no problem at all. Just if I have the PPT on this blockchain PPT, let me open my PPT, because in that PPT you have all the ways from the starting blockchain. So I feel कि hyperledger I can explain in a normal way. So that is a blockchain. Application security, blockchain, consortium. What is a blockchain? cryptography, okay, digital signature, and then hashing, mining, sell and buy, immutability, है ना? Immutability, distributed network, ledger, cryptographic signature, all the things should be all the way. Ledger, problem in current system not required. Blockchain, not distributed ledger technology. So what is the distributed ledger technology is what we used to say. We used to say consortium, industry consortium, hyperledger, R3, CEVP, CEV, and PTDL group. So what those are in the distributed ledger technology landscape? What are those? This is the industrial consortium. So now when I was talking about the blockchain types of blockchain, will come back, and now right now I'll just tell you hyperledger. For this, what we are doing with the hyperledger, we are just trading the finance, commercial paper trading, digital identification, and cross border payments. We are just working on it. When we are talking about R 3CEV, there we are just having all the assets. When we are talking about assets, like hope you remember when Chandrababu Naidu was on the rule, so he was just announced that we are just going to deploy the we are going to work on blockchain to our land and all. So this is for these all the things, assets and all, we are just using R3CEV. And then finally we have PTDL group. That PTDL group, what are the things they used to do? PTDL group, they are working on auditing. They are working on auditing, and every auditing will be comes under this PTDL group. Okay. Next, hash algorithm. Everything you have already aware about it. Miracle tree, already you have very well known to this, because anyhow blockchain. Miracle root, blockchain relation, advance of miracle, the miners, how the responsibilities of miner, proof of work, proof of stake, miners reward, okay, consortium, sorry, consensus algorithm, that is also you got very well. Hashing, and then what is a miner cheat? If miner will cheat into the blockchain, what will happen? That is also done. Yeah, this is this is what exactly scenario see here. Comparing most popular blockchain implementation. What is that? Characteristic: Ethereum, Hyperledger Fabric, R3 Corda. This is the Hyperledger Fabric. It is your private blockchain. R3 Corda, we can say it is a pure, it is a pure private, and that we can say consortium. So what we are doing in this platform, what is that platform in Ethereum? When we are talking about Ethereum, it is a generic platform. Generic platform is nothing but in a one way it will work. It will work one way. Entire blockchain will be stored in one way, and everyone can enter there. Everyone can do whatever they want. There is no any modular. Module is nothing but we have some specific task to do by someone, a specific task to do by someone, a specific area to access by someone, a specific area to access by someone. Here we don't have an Ethereum, whereas in Hyperledger, this is the modular approach. We are just following the modular platform. Modular platform is nothing but we have some of the areas. Okay, this is the access to that guy, this access to that person, this access to that party. The next one we have R3 Corda. In R3 Corda, specialized. This is completely specialized. You even hide the data from admin also here. You can give some of the information to the admin, and that information you don't want it to give to your financial person. That information you don't want it to give your main person, CEO. So these are the things you can do into the Corda. This is pure consortium blockchain. Management, governance management is nothing but who is just managing this and who is the governance. So anyhow, we are just in your blockchain, when the people who has explained you about the blockchain, they have explained you about the fiat currency, they have explained you about the gold exchange, they have explained you about commodity exchange. So, and at that time they have just given you the governance, how the governance would be here. In that, when we are talking about, I'll just give you a basic example, basic scenarios about the governance. What is that? Why the people in India, they are not entertaining, or some of the most of the countries, in this, the very first, we can say in India, we are not entertaining the blockchain much. We don't want blockchain to be implemented here majorly. We don't want it. We are not using cryptocurrency over here in India. Bitcoin we banned. The reason behind why Bitcoin we banned, the reason is that because if the Bitcoin will be here, so Bitcoin is a completely distributed technology, whereas they are using the fiat currency. The fiat currency having holded by the governance, that governance, Indian government, whoever would be here, if the fiat currency you are transferring from one place to another place, you are doing the transaction, so it's getting monitored. It's getting monitored. Who is monitoring? The government is monitoring. Sometime what they wanted to do, they wanted to collapse this entire currency, fiat currency. They can collapse it. They can do whatever they want. And like you can remember that demonetization. At that time they have collapsed the fiat currency. So whatever the fiat currency would be here, they have collapsed over here. But when you're coming up into the Bitcoin, nobody can collapse the Bitcoin. Nobody can do any modification on it. Nobody can collab it. When nobody can collab it, and as well as nobody have the governance over here, because anyhow it is a distributed, so nobody is a governance. When nobody is a governance, obviously you are not going to pay the taxes to the Indian government or to any country government. You're not going to pay the taxes. Apart from that, some of the issues will be here. What are the issues? When you are using the Bitcoin, so at that time you are just coming, black money will be huge ratio. Why black money will be into the huge ratio? The reason is that no governance is monitoring you, and finally whatever you wanted to do, you can do it. Some of the time we used to say bidding and all, it's happening. Suppose we have this World Cup, or we can say this you know volleyball, or some matches used to come. So in that matches you have the bidding, and also in that bidding and governance in this fiat currency, if you'll do these other things, so you may get caught because it's getting monitored. When you're coming into the blockchain, it is not, because in cryptocurrency, in Bitcoin, it's not possible to catch you, okay, how you are doing it and what are the things you are doing over here. So it's the best way you can invest amount, instead of investing amount in so and so in a normal way. So you can invest the amount in Bitcoin, and you can invest the amount at what time? At the time when the World Cup used to start or IPL used to start. At that time you can, like right now you can invest it, and at that time you just see your currency. The Bitcoin price will be hiked very fast at that time when you have some of the events and all in such a way. So to do the bidding and all. Okay. So next we have, this is governance, Ethereum Foundation, and here Hyperledger. It's a Linux Foundation. When we are talking about Linux Foundation, so it is a more secure, we can say, more secure, and as well as it's a completely open source. When we are talking about open source, anyhow, I just missed the open source concept at that time. What exactly the meaning of open source? Some of the people, they used to say open source is nothing but we can use the software freely. We can use the software. Anyone can use the software openly. It is not like open source. Open source is nothing but you have a documentation with you. You have a documentation with you, and you can provide the implementation. Please, can you mute yourself? Can you mute yourself, please? Someone? Um, so what? Okay. So what we have? We have where sorry, I was on. Okay, open source. So open source is nothing but, when we are just talking about the open source, it's not about software you are using freely. That means you have the documentation with you, and finally you are providing the implementation based on the documentation. There are two types of document will release whenever any documentation will release from the company or from the community. So two types of document we have. One is open source, another is proprietary. When open source document will release, anybody can provide the implementation, anybody can develop the software. For example, how we can say anybody can provide the anybody can provide the implementation, anybody can do the work on it. The scenarios in such a way, suppose the government has released car document, When they have released the car document, what you got this car document, and then everyone can develop it. Everyone, if you wanted to, if you would like to develop your car, you have a money, you just bring some of the mechanics and you start your car company. You will be able to develop the car. There's no problem at all. But if someone will ask you, can you develop Swift car? That Swift car you cannot develop. The reason behind, because Swift car, all the models and everything, the documentation is a patent. It's a copyright. It's a proprietary. So proprietary is nothing but that particular company only can provide the implementation who has released that documentation. Public is nothing but that anybody can provide the implementation when the public is released. So blockchain, anyhow, everyone knows about blockchain, that blockchain is a public. So in different of languages, we can execute the blockchain. Now let me show you blockchain.com. Anyhow, you have gone through your classes when the blockchain, normal blockchain has explained you what is a blockchain and all. When we are talking about data, when we are talking about product, so here we have developer. What they're telling access our API. In which manner? What is that API? API is a application programming interface. What is the meaning of API? API only, it's a documentation. By the help of API only you can develop everything. So either API can be proprietary or API can be the public. So if the public blockchain is the public API, so this is the reason you are able to access their API. So you are accessing the API, and then which language you have to use. If you are using Python, no problem in that. You can go ahead with the Python. You can install the blockchain. If you are going with the Java, no issue in that. This is the XML, because anyhow you are aware about it when we are working on Java, so server and client cannot communicate with the Java programming language. They have to communicate by, server can communicate by the help of XML only. So what we are doing here, we are just configuring our blockchain inside the XML, and then finally we are releasing this blockchain to the containers of servlet or anything in Java, in the form of Java. .NET we can install in this manner. Ruby on Rails we can install in this manner. PHP we can install in this manner. Node we can install in this manner. 99% people are working on blockchain with the Node.js only right now. Nowadays, 99% people are working on Node.js. Now, if you really wanted to see the entire document, how we have to develop the blockchain completely, what are the things we have to do? So here you have library, how you have to install the blockchain, repository, what are the things you have to do in that wallet and all. So see here, and anyhow, the person who has given you the explanation about the blockchain, he has given you this site also, okay, we can test the blockchain. Blockchain demo, blockchain demo. So did you gone through this blockchain demo, this one? This one, did you gone through it? Can anyone, if yes, then it's fine. If no, so I can explain you a bit how the blockchain would work. Oh, no. Okay. Okay. So see here, everyone knows about the blockchain, how the blockchain used to work, because anyhow, when we are working onto the blockchain, okay, yes, you went to the blockchain. Yes, that's what exactly I was telling you here. Gone through this. Yes, that's only the major things, because previous hash and hash, they have given the, what is it, target 4 zeros. They have given the target 4 zeros, and you're working on nouns. So everything you have already aware about it. Very nice. So no problem. I no need to explain this. No issue in that. So we have this blockchain API in this manner. You can go ahead and you can work on it. Now, next what we have, modular, Ethereum Foundation, Linux, R3. That is the R3. Now, consensus algorithm. Consensus. What is the consensus? It is a mechanism, we can say. It is an algorithm, we can say. It's a technique, we can say. Here in Ethereum consensus, we are using mining based on the proof of work. Here, Hyperledger, broad understanding of consortium, allowing multiple approaches. Multiple approaches is nothing but either proof of work or proof of stake or anything. It can be work with the proof of work. It can be work with the proof of stake, or we can do their own. The next one, R3 Quadra, the pure consortium blockchain. In this, we have the specific understanding of consistence. The node tree nodes. That means what exactly the things? They least bother about your currency and all. They have their own scenarios and they're working on it. Now, next one we have level of consistence. This is the ledger level. Ledger level. Ethereum is a ledger level. Hyperledger Fabric, it is a transaction level, and R3 Corda, it is a transaction level. It is a transaction level. A smart contract, when we are talking about a smart contract in Ethereum, we are working on Solidity programming language by developing the smart contract. When we are talking about Hyperledger Fabric, a smart contract, we are working by the help of Go or Java. Go and Java. In this Corda, we are doing the work on Kotlin Java smart legal contract. Smart legal contract. Now, these are the things we have: types of blockchain, public blockchain, private blockchain, consortium blockchain. So we have public blockchain has ledger visible to everyone. That's what I was trying to explain you at the starting time only. Public blockchain have ledger visible to everyone on the internet, and everyone can verify and add block of the transactions to the blockchain. Example, we can say blockchain, sorry, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dash, Factom. Next, we have private blockchain. In private blockchain, what are the things would be? We have all permissions are kept centralized to an organization. All permissions are kept centralized to an organization. Private blockchains allows only specific people in the organization to verify and add the transaction blocks, but everyone on the internet is generally allowed to view. What exactly the meaning of this? They will allow someone to do the operation, to do the things, but everyone can allow into the internet, like throughout the internet, to you to view it. You can view, there's no problem. For example, if we'll talk about result, think about the result. When result will out, everyone can view the result, there's no problem. But some of the people can do the addition, can do the manipulation, can do the modification, whatever the things would be here. Consortium controlled by a consortium of members, only predefined set of node have access to write the data or block. So hope you understood. Consortium controlled by a consortium of members. So what they're doing here, they have the members in that, and based on those members only will take care ki who has to enter, who has to not enter. Only predefined set of node have access to write the data or block. Example, we can say Ripple, R3 and Hyperledger. Example, Ripple, R3 and Hyperledger. So this is all about private, public. So types of blockchain, since network is open, anybody can participate and contribute in the consensus. So anyone can enter in that, anyone can contribute the things, but where is that? Restrict the actors who can contribute to the consensus of the system state. Next, we have features. What are the features we have of private blockchain, or we can say when we are talking about Hyperledger and all? In private, in public access, open read-write access to database. That means anybody can read-write. There's no problem in it to database. And when I use the terms anybody can read-write, it doesn't mean I'm not talking about the data, because anyhow data you cannot. You have to work on nouns only. Nouns only. By the help of nouns only, you are going to get the target, and based on nouns only, you can work on that data. It's not that you are just changing the data, you are just communicating with that parent and all. Okay. Next, in private blockchain, what we have a permission read or write access to database. Speed, obviously in public we have a slow, in private we have a fast. Security, here we have proof of work, proof of stake. Here we have pre-approved participants. Identity, we can say in public, anonymous entity, pseudonymous entity. Anonymous, pseudonymous. Where in this private, we have known entity. Assets, when we are talking about asset is nothing but what exactly the property of yours. Suppose it's a Ethereum, so it is ether only. It is normal something. Suppose we are talking about multi-chain and all or something other scenarios. So we have in this Bitcoin only. Somewhere you have something, somewhere you have something. So like let me show you some of the currencies over here. Coinmarketcap.com. Hope you have gone through this website when the blockchain used to get explained. So here this is the coin market. I was not getting all the times the different of currencies names. So this is the reason I'm just giving you this. I'm just showing you coin market cap. You can see, and you have all the currencies over here. You can see it. What are the currencies we have? Even you also can create your own currency. You can also create your own blockchain. Okay. Any assets we can enter in that. Next one we have public private in this proof of work. Permissionless public proof of work, Zcash, Bitcoin, Ethereum, permission public, permission public, proof of stake, Ethereum after Casper. Anyone who meets certain predefined criteria can download the protocol and validate the transaction. So this is about proof of stake, because anyhow proof of work we have some of the thing. Proof of stake, it's a permission. Okay. Next we have at that starting time when the person was explaining you the blockchain, so at that time he has just given you a very exact information about the proof of work and proof of stake. We have a lot of things in this proof of stake, proof of work. In this permissionless private, FBA, federated Byzantine agreement, IPDB, and in this permission private, multi-signature. Multi-signature. So multi-signature, we can understand that when we are talking about multi-signature, so one signature is depend on other signatures. Okay, the person will give the signature, then only we can access in it. है ना? Next one we are just talking about side chain. Side chain, because when we are talking about the hyperledger, and that hyperledger, the major concern about the side chain as well. So side chains enhance blockchains performance and private protection. I'll just tell you normally what exactly the side chain is in generic terms. Side chain, when you are entering into the blockchain, so what you're doing here, everyone don't want it to enter into publicly. What they wanted to work to be done as a privately. So what they're doing here, they have just connected to the blockchain by the help of sidechain. Sidechain they have created and they just entered into the public blockchain. And then they can do whatever the things they wanted to do over here. They also enabled new extensions. So see here, new extensions to support stocks, bonds, derivatives, real and virtual world currencies. So either real currency or virtual currency, whatever you wanted to go ahead, you can go ahead on that sidechain because nobody will stop you. It's a private anyhow. They also added capabilities like smart contract, secure handled, and real world property registry. So property registry and all, you're working on it. Sidechain can have other sidechain to micro payment, allows for experimentation and pre-release version of feature sidechain or even beta release. So everyone aware about the beta release and alpha release when we are just delivering the softwares, when we are developing the software. So we have beta release, alpha release and all, and final release production. Sidechain extension, native assets, assurance, and then smart contracts, and then real world property registries, secure handled. So what is that? Beta release is stored into the blockchain, two-way pagination, sidechain, R&D, and micropayment, whatever you wanted to do here. Either you are releasing for the R&D, you are releasing for the micropayment, you are releasing for some other thing, you are releasing some other thing, some property and all, anything you can work on it. Coin map anyhow, smart contract not required. I'm not going to explain you smart contract, Ethereum, gas, ether, demonstration, gas and Ethereum, virtual support technology, Web3, smart contract. These are the things I have already explained you. Okay, done. So no more this PPT. I'm just winding up the PPT scenarios. Okay. So here we have, I was explaining you about the Hyperledger. Let me return back to the Hyperledger, exact topic of Hyperledger, because I just gone through the public, private, all the ways. So now in this business, when we are doing any business, when we are talking about the business, just clear funda. When we are talking about the business, we have to go with the Hyperledger, because business we cannot go in a normal way. So I just explained you, and again I'm just telling you. Suppose for example, Amazon having some other strategy to release the business. If the blockchain is the public, and if they are just storing all the data into the blockchain, then what is the problem will occur? The competitor will see the data, and competitor will change the strategy based on their data. So what they're doing, they're not showing the strategy to them. So they required, obviously they required some of the private blockchain instead of the public blockchain. Still they are entertaining the blockchain, they want the blockchain, but they don't want publicly. Okay. So blockchain will change the way to do the business. In this, the first, when we are talking about first, in that first what we have, it's a highly efficient distributed business network will challenge our what we can say, will challenge our notations of traditional enterprise management. What exactly the meaning of notations? Notation, anyhow everyone are aware about it, ki extra information when we are providing traditional enterprise management. So what are the management we are using? Traditional way. How we are using traditional way? Suppose previously I have just explained you that we are getting the data from the Kolkata to Hyderabad. When we are taking Kolkata to Hyderabad, there would be lots of, there is a some mediators are here, so we have to go on through the mediators and we have to get it. So no, I don't want it to communicate with the mediator, I directly communicate with the direct with the person, है ना? So here we have the smart contract, we are just working on a smart contract. So here also they also anonymous, na, anonymous entities. So when anonymous entity, obviously we have a contract, because the meaning of contract, it's nothing but that only when we are communicating, both anonymous entities are doing some agreement. So here we have some of the anonymous entities. Those anonymous entity can be bind by the smart contract agreement. So they are doing the smart contract. So what we can see, we can do the high efficient distributed business network, and it will challenge our notation of traditional enterprise network. Okay. Next one, what we have here new nexus for the value exchange. So for the value exchange, exchange, sorry, for the value exchange, we have new nexus. What exactly is that? What exactly we wanted to do in this? We are just doing the certification we are providing to the person. We are telling ki, yes, you are the permissioned person to enter into this. We are just giving the certification. We are just embedding you into the chain. And then finally, we are asking you ki you can do the business transaction now in this. Publicly, you cannot enter. Next one, we have tightening of trust. Tightening of trust, what exactly the scenarios here? We have efficient and accessible marketplace built on blockchain, which will accelerate the exchange of value and flow the wealth. So whatever the data you are just flowing it, that would be perfectly in that. So what are the blockchain for business? What are the blockchain for business? If we'll talk about the blockchain for business, it's a shared ledger. We have a smart contract, shared ledger, smart contract. We have private, we have consensus. What exactly the scenarios here? We have shared ledger. What is the meaning of shared ledger? Shared ledger is nothing but append only distributed system of record share access business network. So what we are doing here, when we are just having the shared ledger is nothing but some of the participants, we have given the information, we have given the permission, those people only can be access to this network. Next one, we have a smart contract. A smart contract is nothing but business terms embedded in the traditional database. Sorry, transaction database, transactional database, and execute with the transactions, a smart contract. So anyhow, where you are aware about the smart contract, for what we are using it, how we are just writing the logic and all. Now we have private. Anyhow, private I have just given you, okay, we are just having their own approach to do it. Consistence is nothing but we are just working on the algorithms, we are working on the technique, we are working on the agreement in such a way all parties to be agreed, network verify the transaction. So once you ready the transaction, when the transaction is started, everyone has to be ready for that. Suppose for example, right now if someone is taking the decision, so that decision has to be done by everyone. Why done by everyone? Because every copy of the data will go to the another place also. So what is that? It's the combination of shared, alternatable, ledger, and a smart contract that streamline business process and open new opportunities for innovation. That's what exactly. The second one, when we are talking about consensus among blockchain network members, eliminates costly risk and inefficiency as access assets change hand throughout the business network. The enterprise ready blockchain platform make it easy to activate and manage the secure business network across multiple organizations. What exactly the meaning of readily? That means you no need to do anything. Blockchain only have everything to do it. You don't require to do anything over here. So here we have what is the hyperledger. In that hyperledger, I have already explained you it is a open source, not non-profit accelerator. Not profit accelerator. When we have the open source, so obviously it is not profitable. It is not profitable. Development and adoption of the business blockchain technology. Business with the most strategy state blockchain requirement trust hyperledger. है ना? So what is the trust scenarios in that? It is hosted by the Linux Foundation. है ना? It is naturally collaborative. Hyperledger will always. What is the meaning of naturally collaborate? Natural architecture, natural collaborate. What exactly the meaning of natural architecture? That means you can do whatever you want. It's your wish. है ना? So in that, what we are doing here, industry standard blockchain by business for the business hyperledger blockchain technologies, empathize key enterprise requirement, support for the different level of access, sub-universal validation, cross-chain transaction, and modularity. Modularity. So hope you got understood what exactly the things. Unique advantages of Hyperledger Fabric. What is the unique advantages of Hyperledger Fabric? Here we have, let me show you the illustration. Here we have permission membership. Permission membership. One thing. The one thing is permission membership. The next one, what we have rich queries over an immutable distributed network, distributed ledger. So what is that distributed ledger? Immutable anyhow you are aware about it. We cannot do the modification, we cannot do the changes, we can only view, we can only see, and we have some of the permissions on it. So it is rich queries over an immutable distributed ledger. Next one, what we have modular architecture supporting plugin components. What exactly the meaning of modular architecture supporting plugin component? Plugin, the moment I said plugin component, that is only you got understood ki yes, I don't need to write entire code of mine for this hyperledger and all. Everything will be available. So what I have to do, I just need to do the plugin in this. I need to do the plugins and it will be work on it. Next one, what we have a protection of digital keys and sensitive data. So anyhow, this is all about the blockchain. Data on and need to know basics. So what exactly is that? In that we are just passing the data and it would be basic scenarios will be available and the data will be very secure, well formed. Performance, scalability, and level of trust. This is. Now, if we'll go ahead with the goals of Hyperledger, let me open my Hyperledger, one Hyperledger. If I talk about goals of Hyperledger, This is, if I talk about the Hyperledger, goals of Hyperledger, it is not responding. So now the major first goal of Hyperledger, what exactly is that? It's create an enterprise grade open source distributed ledger framework and code based upon which user can build and run robust industry specific applications, platform and hardware system to support business transaction. The second one what we have, second one, it built an open source technical community to benefit the ecosystem of the Hyperledger solution provides and uses. Focus on blockchain and shared ledger use cases that will work across a variety of industry solutions. The third one, when we are talking about third one, yeah, third one when we are talking about, so it is promote participation of leading members of the ecosystem, including developers, service and solution provider and end users. So whatever the end user and solution provider, suppose somebody wanted to provide the solution of something, I'm just giving you right now also, I'm just giving you the training, so we can suggest to provide the solution on the training, we can work on Hyperledger also, do the transaction and all. So now what we can say, fourth one, the host and infrastructure of the Hyperledger establishing a natural home for community infrastructure, meetings, event, and collaborative discussion, and providing a structure around the business and technical governance of Hyperledger. The fourth one you can concentrate much more, host the infrastructure for Hyperledger, establishing a natural home. Natural home is nothing but whatever we wanted to do, we can do it. For community infrastructure, meeting, events, and collaborative discussions, and providing a structure around the business and technical governance of Hyperledger. That's what the goal. So we can say here, goal of this, creating enterprise grade open source distributed ledger framework and code based on support business transaction, provide natural open and community driven infrastructure supported by the technical and business governance, build technical community to develop blockchain and shared ledger POCs, use case, field trials, and deployment. So hope you are aware about the POCs. What is the meaning of POC? POC is nothing but proof of concept. POC is nothing but proof of concept. What is the meaning of proof of concept? Proof of concept is nothing but, suppose you are working on any project which can be work for someone, but it's not exactly. So for the prototype you have created, for example, I'll just tell you an example. Yesterday or day before yesterday, I heard one news. What is that news? Ki Baba Ramdev has introduced corona medicine. Anyway, that is a different scenarios ki he don't have the right to create the corona medicine and all, but still what he did, he just created. Really he has created the actual medicine? No, he has not created the actual medicine. He has created the POC, proof of concept. When he has created the POC, after that he is just going to the governance and he is just giving it ki boss, I have created this, can you like my project, so I can do the more implementation on it and I can work on that, based on that. So those people will have to accept it and then they'll have to do and all, give the task and all. So that is all about build community. Next one, we have educate the public about the market opportunity for blockchain technology. So what we are doing here, we cannot go ahead, enter into the public blockchain to explain the scenarios, to give the information, whereas in Hyperledger, whereas in transaction, whereas in consortium or private, we can open our own and we can say okay, what are the things are coming up into the blockchain. Promote participations of leading members of the ecosystem, including developers, service and solution provider, and end user. That's what exactly I have explained you at that time. Okay, here what we are doing here, we have some of the people in that end user and all. Now, problem with the existing blockchain. What are the problems we have in existing blockchain? So if I talk about the problems of existing blockchain, major problem, Major problem is limited through output. Limited through output. So now limited throughput. So now limited throughput is nothing but we have a limitation. We can go ahead in that manner. It's the person are entering into this if they are doing the proof of work, proof of stack and all, and if they wanted to store in the data, so they have some of the limitation over here in this. Next one, what we have slow transaction confirmation. Slow transaction confirmation. So slow transaction confirmation, what is the meaning of slow transaction confirmation? There are two things I think you have gone through it when you are doing the smart contract, when you are writing, and when you have done the transaction of your Bitcoin and all, when you have done the transaction of Ether. Anyhow, Bitcoin it's not possible because you have to take the real currency. But when you have done the transaction on Ether, so you observe that once is a fast or slow or very fast. In that manner, you have to pay amount also. The reason behind, because every node has connected, and from node A to node Z you wanted to transfer the amount, so that person has to travel from node 1 to node Z, node A to node Z. The next one we have anonymous processors. Anonymous anonymous MOUS anonymous. So what exactly is that? Anyone can enter in this. In this second, the next one we have, what we have, no settlement finally. So when we are just working on blockchain in a normal way, so they don't have no settlement. So whatever the amount you have, whatever the data you have, whatever the ledgers you have, that you have stored in this, and they don't have any settlement, because nobody is monitoring, nobody caring about what exactly the data you have, the least bother about it. The next one we have designed for cryptocurrency. No settlement finally, designed for cryptocurrency. Designed for cryptocurrency. So hope you are aware about it. When the person is starting to teach you the blockchain, suddenly they started to speak about Bitcoin. But really, is it Bitcoin is a blockchain? No, Bitcoin is not a blockchain. Bitcoin just a cryptocurrency which has developed, which is stored into the distributed application. Distributed application has developed by the help of Bitcoin API, Bitcoin platform. Here we have poor governance. Poor governance. Poor governance is nothing but they have their own, like everyone can enter in that, everyone can do the mining, everyone can do the mining, and everyone can enter in this. Here we can say no privacy on an existing blockchain. There's no privacy. Obviously, when you don't have the privacy, so you cannot go ahead in that manner. So goal of Hyperledger, I have already just given you how we are working on this Hyperledger. What are the things we are doing in this? So now this is the approach of Hyperledger, how we are working. Let me show you this. Infrastructure. What exactly the meaning of infrastructure? Infrastructure is nothing but to be ready to develop. Okay, what are the concept we required to ready for this? This is the architecture, we can say in normal way. When we are talking about the architecture of Java, in that Java JVM architecture, we used to say in that JVM what are the data we have. If we'll talk about the Android having their own architecture. In that Android architecture, we have the application, we have the framework, we have the Linux kernel. In this architecture in blockchain, what we have, sorry, not blockchain, Hyperledger, what we have, infrastructure, framework, tools. What is the meaning of infrastructure? What is the meaning of framework? What is the meaning of tools? Anyhow, frameworks, you got understood. What exactly the area where we are working on Hyperledger. Or framework, it's not only based on, it's not only coming into the Hyperledger. Framework can be everywhere. So whatever the area where you are working, where you are doing the task, that area comes under framework. Infrastructure, what are the things you require, how the things will work, what is the concept, how the meetings and all that would be comes under infrastructure. Tools is nothing but what tools you require to do the run, to do the compile and all. So in that infrastructure, we have technical, legal, marketing, organization. So in normal way, in traditional way, what we can say, visibility, you know, technical, legal, marketing, organizational. Ecosystem that accelerate open development and commercial adoption. Cloud Foundry, Node.js, Hyperledger, Open Container Initiative. Cloud Foundry, Node.js, Hyperledger, Open Container Foundry. So what exactly the things? 100% to develop the Hyperledger, we have to go to the cloud only. So you cannot, develop onto your system. The Hyperledger you cannot develop into your system. Yes, before 6 months, it was possible to develop the blockchain in your system in normal way. But what they have done, the IBM guys, they have eliminated that. They are not using, they are no more using that Hyperledger on cloud. They have just eliminated. I don't know why they have eliminated that site got deprecated. In system you can develop the blockchain, sorry, in system still you can develop the Hyperledger. But what is the problem in that? You required a very heavy system on which either you have to work on Linux, you cannot work on normal system on the blockchain. Anyhow, I'll just explain you all the steps gone through the step. I may not able to give you the practical on Hyperledger, but I can show you the practical scenarios on Hyperledger. I can show you the practical scenarios. I'll give you the tools on practical scenarios, because if I'll install the tools in my system, so I could not able to explain you these are the things. The reason behind my system will be very slow after that. Our tools are very heavy of this Hyperledger. Either you can go ahead with the Docker, or you can go ahead with the virtualization of Linux, or if even in Mac also you have to start this Docker only. By creating the Docker only, you can go ahead in this manner. So if I could install, I have all the softwares with me. I have all the environment set up with me, but I'll not give you that. I'll just show you how the things are being happening. I'll just show you in the form of documentation. But really, is it not possible? But really, it is not possible to do the practical here only on this Hyperledger, because to do the practical, everything you have to get through the internet, and that is it may minimum, it may take one day also, it may take, if you don't have the proper internet connectivity, that things just keep in your mind. Anyhow, I'll just explain you. I'll just give you the practical scenarios, how the things would be happening. I'll give you all the tools. I'll show you how we are working on the tools. But I cannot, wait for installation. Like yesterday, what I was doing the work on DF, and the DF I was writing some command. The moment I'm just hitting enter, it's taking a bit 2 to 3 minutes, and it's getting executed. But in Hyperledger case, this is not possible. And in Hyperledger, you have to run everything. That I'll show you. I'll show you everything. Even I'll just give you the the sample program also, how you have to work on it. Okay. So here we have technical, legal, marketing, organization, Cloud Foundry. 100% you require Cloud Foundry. Node.js, you have to work on Node.js. You cannot stop you to work on Node.js on it. Hyperledger, you have to work on Hyperledger. Open Container Initiative. Okay. Framework. The meaning of framework? Framework is nothing but what are the areas you have where you are working on Hyperledger. What are the areas you have where you are working on Hyperledger, and what are the things we are working on it. Hyperledger Fabric, Hyperledger Stuth, Hyperledger Composer, all the things we have in this. So see here, we have Hyperledger ND. This is the, we can say it is a flavors of Hyperledger. Flavors we can say. Hyperledger ND, Hyperledger Aroha, Hyperledger Stuth, Hyperledger Burrow, So these are the things comes under Hyperledger. All the communities would be here. If I talk about these are the things, I'm just giving you one, what I can say. I'm giving you one article. I'll just after completion of this, I'll give you article. That article you just go through it. You just go through it. You will get all the scenarios, all the ways. Okay, what are the this all the Hyperledger and all on this ND Aroha. The moment if I'll explain you, I'll give you the explanation also, but still I'm just asking you just go through this article. What article I'm just going to give you? I'll just give you. So now, what is the Hyperledger fabric? Hyperledger is one of the open source project under the enterprise blockchain consortium company Hyperledger. As Hyperledger always promoted a collaborative environment, all the project under its an end result of the collaborations. Anyhow, Hyperledger Fabric is an enterprise blockchain, so platform with ledger, standard protocols, contract, just like all other platform, like how we are just working on the contract and all, how we are writing into the other platform. In the same manner, we are writing into the Hyperledger Fabric also, right? Next one. However, we'll find the difference between the blockchain, like what are the things should be here. So public and permission. So here anyone won't be able to enter in that. These are the things I have already explained you. Open source, I have already explained you. Suitable wide range, quality code, highly efficient. What are the benefit of this? So the benefit is nothing but basic benefit of Hyperledger Fabric open source. This is the one thing. Suitable for wide ranging industry, quality code, highly efficiency, modular design. Next one we have what hyper fabric architecture. What is the hyper fabric architecture? Chain code, chain code, ledger, identity, confidentiality and privacy, security protocols, consistence, own consistence. When we are talking about Hyperledger is truth, Hyperledger is truth. So in that Hyperledger is truth, what exactly is that? This is Hyperledger is truth is another open source project under the enterprise blockchain consortium company Hyperledger. It's quite similar to Hyperledger Fabric. However, it is more granted for the development of the decentralized application. So more about it. So what exactly the things? The design seems to be a bit fast, super flawless, to make it's more user friendly and enterprise companies. So what exactly the things? To make sure that application development goes smooth and development layer is separated from the core one. What is the meaning of development layer? What is the meaning of core one and all? That is core. Yes, ma'am.
Sir, current screen is not visible. Current discussion.
Current 1 minute. Let me show you 1 minute. Hold on, please. Let me just show you that. Is it visible to you? This one? Just hold on, please. I'll just give you one article all the way. My IM 876 Hyperledger. So here is a Hyperledger, gmail, gmail.com. Me. Yeah. You can see this now. Screen is visible. Even you also have this right now. It seems you can have this data. Integrated the blockchain framework to cloud service as SS. Yes. Like technology is not a specific technology. What exactly you're meaning about a specific technology? Specific technology you're talking about, the development side, or you're talking about the framework side?
That we require some application, infrastructure.
Yeah. So please check this blockchain. Now, I was just giving you this information in this Hyperledger Smooth suit, and then Hyperledger Fabric versus suit versus Composer. Please mute yourself if somebody has opened yourself. Please mute it. Yeah, thank you so much. So here I just forwarded. You can also please type this into your browser, and you can see these entire scenarios. So what is it? That is, let it be that one. Yeah. Hyperledger Fabric. This is the benefit of this open source and all. High modular design, fabric, chain code, ledger, identity, confidentiality, security protocol, consistency. Hyperledger suits another blockchain milestone. The same scenarios. It's open source platform like a blockchain only. It's an open source platform like a blockchain. Now more design seems to be super flawless and make it more friendly. Features of smooth application development friendly. Permissioning features, private network, execution of parallel transaction, modular structure, event system architecture, event system in this, smooth Ethereum integration project, pluggable consistency algorithm. These are the things we have in this. You can see all the way. You can see all the way, and you'll just understand what exactly the scenarios are available on it. Okay. Let me go ahead next. So here we have in this manner, and then we are just coming back into my. So infrastructure, you got it. Framework, you got it. Now tools are nothing but what are the tools we required in this. Tools we required: Hyperledger Composer, Hyperledger Explorer, Hyperledger Shallow. These are the tools we have to work on it. So now tools typically built for one framework and throughout common license and communities approach protect of other network. Now, what is it? I'll just tell you what is the scope of Hyperledger project. Scope of Hyperledger project. This is the Hyperledger project scope. So let me show you Hyperledger project scope. Yes, this is. In this Hyperledger scope, what are the details will be available here? This is the application layer. Now, do you know, being a developer, we are not at all working on anything. We are not at all working on anything. We are working only on app layer. That's it. We are working on and only on app layer. We are not working on these all the things. These all the things are already available. These all the things are already provided by the Hyperledger, and you are working only on app layer. Out of scope, in scope. Out of scope, in scope is nothing but what is the meaning of out of scope? What is the meaning of in scope? Yesterday, I have just developed one. I just shown you one demo on distributed application DApp. So in that, when we are talking about with3, when we are talking about truffle, so truffle is in scope, so everything available there only. When we are talking about out of scope, so that details are not available there on as a part of Hyperledger. You have to give the customization, everything you have to give. So as per your convenience, as per your requirement, as per your maturity level, you have to give it. That is out of scope. In scope, in this Hyperledger would be here. So what is it? App layer, your responsibility to develop app layer. That's it. Value added system, API libraries and GUI, specialized consistence, algorithms, membership policies, gateway, operation dashboard. Like normally, I'll just give you the explanation about this in a normal way. Hope you have developed sometime your PHP application or some other web-based application, and that web-based application, somebody is asking you, some client has given you the requirement कि I want you know, live chat to be involved in this. I want live chat to be involved in my website. Then you ask him, okay, you want live chat? He said, yes, I want live chat. Then what you did? Either you are going to create entire live chat, complete infrastructure and complete, you are taking the database and from the database you are storing, or you are just getting only the API which has created by someone has created the live chat and you are getting the API and you are just plug in this API into your project. Obviously that only you are doing it. In the same manner here also, here we have this value added API libraries and GUI specialized consistency algorithm. So they have their own specialized of GUI, Angular and all. So you may get more understand about this GUI and all, how this thing should be automatic, how this thing to be developed. Suppose if I wanted to do developed a home page in a proper manner in HTML and CSS and JavaScript, we have to do a lot of work manually. Whereas if I'll go with the Angular or only I'll go with the Bootstrap, so we can say that everything is pre-built, every GUI and all pre-built. So what we are doing, we are just calling the classes and we are working on it, and all the API are available some other place. From there, it's taking the design. You know. Core APIs is nothing but whatever the API belongs to the hyperledger. That is a core API. Shared ledger is nothing but code execution, environment ledger, data structure, modular consistency framework, and modular identity service network. Yeah, that thing should be here. Had someone connectivity problem, joined, okay, fine, no issue in that. Okay, now hope you got understood this. Now when we are talking about hyperledger architecture, so what is the hyperledger architecture? How we are working on hyperledger architecture? Architecture is nothing but development area. How we are working in development area. So now see here, hyperledger architecture. Hyperledger reference architecture is aligned in 3 categories: membership, blockchain, and chain code. Now, you don't worry about it, because normally I'm restricted to give you the practical session on this. Anyhow, like by multi-chain, I'll have to give the practical session only. In Hyperledger, I'll not give you the practical session, but I'll just show you, because that is our second session. That is our second session. On this second session, we have a practical approach, but that I cannot develop it. I'm not developing it, but I'll give you all the softwares. I'll just show you the approach, how you have to go through it. What are the things you have to do? Okay. So because for that I required all the cloud and everything, and that I cannot, invest the money and all infrastructure for that particular scenarios, because the cloud and all, it's not open source by which I can take it and I can use it. Okay, here we have a membership, blockchain, and chain code. What is it? Membership. Hyperledger API is SDK. What is the meaning of SDK? SDK is nothing but software development kit. In the same manner, when you are working on the Java, so we have a JDK. JDK is nothing but Java development kit. SDK is nothing but software development kit. When we are releasing software development kit, so the meaning of software development kit, it seems that any program we can work on it. There's no problem at all with this. Is not specific programs to be done. Anything we can do it. Any additional API we can add on it. So here members, blockchain, transaction, and chain code. Membership services. What is this? Registration, identity management, auditability. What exactly the things in that when we are developing the hyperledger? So there we have a membership, and that membership is nothing but that's when you're seeing this membership now, it's not part of development. it's will show when you have developed completely, but logic you have to write for this also. So registration, member has to register. Service we are providing, member have to register. Member has to identify. Member has to auditability. है ना? Now we have blockchain services, consensus management, distributed ledger, P2P protocol, ledger storage. Chain code services, secure container, secure registry, event stream, and hyperledger services, event stream and hyperledger services. So let me, what is this? These categories are a logical structure, not a physical depiction of partitioning of the component into separate processes, address separate or virtual machine. So that is based on the virtual machine, it will be separated and it can work on it. Now, I'll just explain you what exactly the scenarios about this members. Let me explain you about the members in a proper manner. Anyhow, everyone are aware about this. Hyperledger is a private validator network protocol. So all the entities are required to registered with the membership, services to be obtained and identity with access and transaction auditing on the network. And this is the members. Let me give you one by one how the members would be here. In that registration service, what is the registration service? Registration service is nothing but offers the control and management to authorization or authentication for the hyperledger participant. So whether he will become the participant of the hyperledger or not. Identity management service is nothing but here we are providing the management of assurance and authorized disclosure of association of identities and roles to hyperledger participants. Auditability service, if we'll talk auditability service, so it offers the capability to provide authorized entities with the name of linked transaction to individual user or group of user according to the affiliation, whatever the affiliation you are giving it, based on that they'll have to do it, whether the group of users or individual users, and to access the activity of a particular user of the system or operation of the system. So whatever the things you wanted to do it, based on that we are going ahead in this. Now we have next concept we have here, blockchain and transaction, blockchain services and all. So how we are just going ahead with this. So anyhow, blockchain services consists of three keys of component. What are those three keys of component? Protocol, sorry, peer-to-peer, this one, distributed and ledger, and consensus management. Distribution ledger, consensus management, and protocol. Anyhow, ledger we have it. So what is that? What exactly the meaning of this? It's managed the distributed ledger throughout a peer-to-peer protocol built on HTTP. You know. So the data is structured are optimized to provide the efficient schemes for for maintaining the word state replication at many participants. So whatever the participants would be here, so what we are doing here, we are just replicating which participants would be high, which participant would be low, which participant has to access of that particular thing, which participants has to access of that particular things. Different consistency algorithm may be plugged in and configured per deployment. So it's all depend on the person ki how the people are deployed, how the people are stored in that. So consistency algorithm will work based on that scenarios only. If we'll talk about the chain code. So chain code, a piece of code that lets you interact with the network shared ledger. So what is that? It's a piece of code that lets you interact with the network's shared ledger. That's what. So what we are doing in this, however a transaction is invoked on the network, a function in a piece of chain code is called that reads and write values to the ledger. Chain code service uses Docker to host the chain code. Did you understood? Docker to host the service. What is a Docker? Do you aware about the Docker? What is a Docker? So let me tell you, Docker is just think in a generalized manner. Docker, how will we decide preference of participants? That is, you have to see, you have to take care. Nobody can tell. Whatever the things that's what only the modular approach. Na? Whatever you wanted to think, you have to give it. Suppose what you are doing, you are telling कि HR should not get the information about the financial thing. So there you have to give. Developers should not get the information about the management. So that you have to decide that, and you have to decide, and based on that only you have to write the logic. Based on that only you have to write the logic. If we talk about the Docker, so Docker anyhow, everyone aware about the not aware about the Docker, so I'll tell you the generic optimized word of Docker. It is a virtual machine. That's it. What is the meaning of virtual machine? So right now, what is the meaning of virtual machine? Virtual machine is nothing but when we are working on Windows, when we are working on Linux, when we are working on MacBook. So what we are doing? So if we wanted to communicate with the cloud, if we wanted to communicate with some other services, so what we are doing? Either we have to install virtualization. When we are doing the virtualization in our system, it is not possible to go ahead in this manner with the Linux and all. It would be very heavyweight softwares. So instead of this, what we are doing, we are creating the environment like how the sir is telling, cloud environment for the run application Docker. So cloud environment for run application Docker. But here I'm talking about the Docker. Here I'm talking about the Docker. So Docker is a virtual, you can see, you can think in your mind. So right now Hyperledger, you cannot work on Windows. You cannot develop Hyperledger on Windows. Not at all possible. It's not at all possible. But by the help of Docker, you can use it. How we can use it? I'll explain you into the next session. Anyhow, in next session, I'll just give you the scenarios about the practical things. But I'll not do that. I'll just give you only, and I'll show you. Now, generalize Hyperledger consistent process flow. What exactly the meaning of generalize consistent process flow? How it's happening here? So everyone aware about this, sequence diagram type of all. So here we have client. Here we have consistence. So here we have client. When we are talking about consistent process flow, by which this this one, how will decide the preference of participants and all. Anyhow, I have just given you the generic scenarios. So here what we are doing here, we are just generalizing Hyperledger consistent process flow. In that client, consistence and then consistence on other peers. I know what we are doing in this. This is a client. Let me take this as a client. This is a consensus. This is the smart contract. This is a consensus pair. I know. Next, what we are doing in this here in this manner, from here to there, what we are doing, we just gone through from here to there, entering in this. And what are the things we are doing in this? We are doing the transaction are delivered into the pending pool. Transaction are delivered into the pending pool. Hope when the person was explaining you the blockchain at the first class, first day of your FDP, that 100% explained you about the mempool, about the mempool. They have explained you about the mempool. What exactly the meaning of mempool is would be here. So in that mempool, we are just having unconfirmed transaction. Unconfirmed transaction would be into the mempool. So anyhow, you got explanation on the mempool on the very first day. Oh no. Actually, into the blockchain, before, like the moment you are creating the blockchain, how you are creating the blockchain. What is the process flow of the creating blockchain? What we are doing here, we are just creating the block. We are creating the transaction. The moment we are creating the transaction, so the miners, when the miners will attack on that transaction, miners will attack on that block. So while attacking on that block, what they used to do here, they'll have to find your parent key of this. They'll have to find the parent's key. That I think you have an idea about this. They have to find the parent key. Until they'll not get the parent's key, that they cannot store the block into the blockchain. So they are till they are not storing the block into the blockchain, till that time the blocks will be stored into the mempool. From the mempool, they have to bring that blocks to be stored in that. So anyway, this is the basic concept of the blockchain. This should be complete in first session. Now transaction is delivered into the pending pool. So here transaction delivered into the pending pool. Transaction are selected pending pool. So what will happening here? Here transaction are delivered into the pending pool, and then when the transaction will be delivering into the pending pool, so obviously selecting also from pending pool only. If there at that time the transaction will be available on mempool, obviously getting the transaction also from mempool only. So from the client, when the data will come from the client, so it is delivered and it is selected. It is delivered, it is selected. It will come into the consistency, and this process will be repeated. This process will be repeated. And here after that, what we have here, we have in this the complete, we can, okay, let me take this entire scenarios. That is, think this is the box. In that box, what is that? If the transaction have been successfully applied, order transaction. So what we will do, if the transaction successfully applied, okay, let me explain you this first one and then I'll come back the down. So what will happen? It will repeat and the transaction sent for the application. Transaction sent for the application. Here it will repeat and transaction sent for the application. Transaction sent for the application. Next what we have? We have specialized apply the transaction. When we are just transferring, we are just sending it the transaction and then we are applying also this transaction on this. So this is apply transaction. And this is also will be repeat multiple times because anyhow a smart contract we are creating the logic, and that based on the logic we are just working on it. So it is also based on this. Okay, let's go ahead, see here. Next one, what we are doing here, if transaction has successfully applied, then older transaction will take care of it. So transaction has successfully applied. If transaction successful applied, here we have this one, we can say it is a older transaction. It is a older transaction. Now see here. Older transactions. In this, what we are doing here, after that, what we will do with the older transaction, we will broadcast older, whatever the old transaction. So like normally what exactly the things, if you have a confident on mempool, if you know the how the transaction is being happening into the blockchain, this would be very easy to understand the scenarios, how we are doing it. Now in that, what we are doing, we are just broadcasting the transaction. We are just broadcasting ordered list, whatever the ordered list, older transaction. Oh, sorry. Sorry. It's my mistake. It's not older transaction, it's order transaction. So transaction is successfully applied. So order transaction will happen. So broadcast the order list of the transaction, the proof of connectedness, and the change sets. The proof of connectedness and change sets. So it will connect with the transaction and it will be broadcast over here. Send the request again, verify it, determinister, verify it, send it. So what we are doing here, this is in this area what we are doing. We are just broadcasting the transaction, order broadcast. Broadcast, order broadcast, send request, we are just sending the request, send request, that one, and then verify transaction. Obviously when we are sending the request from here, so it will verify the transaction from here only. It will verify the transaction from here only. Send request and verify transaction. Verify transaction from the consistency and return connected block to the transaction. Finally return connected block to the transaction. Finally return. This is the return here. This one will be here. This one will be here. That is sending, and this one will be here, and this one will be here. Sending request, and we are getting the verification, verifying, and after verifying, return connected block to the transaction. Return connected. Finally, what we are doing here to the client, what we are doing to the client, notifying. Finally, after all the work, we are notifying the client if required. So if any event, so what we are doing here, we are just notifying the client. Notifying. Notifying to the client. That's what exactly how the Hyperledger flow. Client, consistence, smart contract, consistence to other peer. If any other peer has connected, so these all the things will repeat to the other also. This one, transaction, client, consistence. The major role we have consistence only. You observe it or not. Major role we have consistence only. Consistence interact with the architecture layer. Here with the ordering, validating, ordering of the transaction, validating of the transaction. Consistence depends on the order service to order transaction, like how the blocks are depend on order. Did you observe that the first when the person is explaining you the blockchain, in that blockchain they are just sending one block, and that block the transaction from one, suppose see here, this is the A, this is the B, this is the C, this is the D, and the person is doing the transaction from the C node, and he wanted to read to the X node. Suppose X node he wanted to reach to the X node, C node and X node. So how we have to do the travel, in which manner, in which order we have to do the traveling, and in which order we have to go to the X level, and how much fast it has to go. These are the things would be here. So consistencies depend on the order service to order transaction to enable confidentiality of the transaction. That transaction contains can be hashed or encrypted. That is already you are aware about it, hash and encryption, this signature, cryptographic signature and all. Validating, the next one we have a validating, and that validating to validate transaction consistency depend on the smart contract layer. Anyhow, it is depend on the smart contract layer. When you are doing the transaction, you have observed it in normal way when the person has given you the practical practical explanation on the blockchain with the ether. So he just transfer, you have done the transaction from the MetaMask, you are doing the transaction to the any of the network, while you are doing the transaction into the any of the network, either Ganache or Rinkibi or any of the networks. So what is happening here? Before doing the transaction, it's the MetaMask will be pop up and it's asking you to confirm to pay the fee. It will confirm to pay the fee and then only it will be working on there, because the what we are doing in this, we have written the smart contract, and the smart contract is a logic by which you have to give either it would be done or not done. On a more explanation, you can understand in a smart contract in which way, suppose you have borrow one laptop from the Amazon. You borrow the laptop from the Amazon, you paid the money. Right now, the traditional way, what is the traditional way to buy the laptop and all? You borrow the laptop. How you borrow the laptop? First, you pay the money to the Amazon, and then you borrow the laptop. What is happening here? Today you paid the money, and after 10 days you receive the laptop. When you receive the laptop after 10 days, hope you are aware about this. The people are, they have said to you that tomorrow you are going to get the laptop, but still you didn't get, and you were having a lot of work on this laptop. You have okay. I'll just give you the best explanation about this. GoDaddy, leave it the laptop. What GoDaddy happened here yesterday, like live example I'm giving you. What is it? Live example. Yesterday, like before 5 days, I thought I'll have to transfer my domain name, one of the domain name, to the GoDaddy from some other registrar. So what happened here? The moment I have transferred my domain name from other registrar to the GoDaddy, so I got lots of verification, lots of validation, in which case the agreements, lots of agreement I got. So that agreement is a traditional agreement. It's like, in a normal contract. So what agreement I got? If you wanted to transfer this, you have to click on that, and if until you will not click it, it will go in that particular area. So what happened? They said to me that, sir, it will take 5 days to transfer. I was very happy. I said, okay, no problem. In that 5 days, I'm waiting over here. And after fifth day, I'll just perform whatever I wanted to perform the action on it. When I just called them sixth day, when I called them 6 days, so they said, no, sir, you have to wait some more time. You have to wait for 10 more days, 5 more days. So I got very afraid. I got disappointed. What is it? What are the things is happening here? You said in that manner. So what they're telling? They're telling, sorry, sir, sorry for the inconvenience. I can understand your problem. They open the radio. Every customer care, they used to open the radio, and they started to say, sorry, sir, sorry for the inconvenience. Tomorrow onwards will not be happening. Next time onwards will not be happening. So these all the things comes under contract, because we have given the contract and it's not in a proper way. It's not digitalized. It's not programmatical. It's manually contract. So manually contract can be manipulated. Manually contract can be manipulated. Whereas if we are going and if we are creating the smart contract, so that is a programmatical. And that programmatical is nothing but either yes or no. That is the main scenarios would be here. So here we have a validation and all. Application programming interface. In Hyperledger, we have API, application programming language. What is that application programming language? Let me show you that. Members, anyhow, we have gone through the members. Order of any peer. Yeah. Chain kit. Okay. Open chain SDK. Open chain SDK. Go ahead in this. So here we have what we have, the things would be here in this entire SDK. When we are talking about API I have already explained you. API is nothing but application programming interface. By the help of API, the documentation, you can work on your application and you can do the modification also. If the API is open source, you can create your own API. There's no problem. Now, in this, what are the things we have? In this, we have include REST. Yesterday, I have just given you the explanation about this REST API, and as well as this, Angular application. So REST and JSON, RPC API, events, and an SDK for applications to communicate with the network provides a set of CLI to administration and manage the network. CLI is nothing but So what we are doing here, we are just working on command line interface. We are not working, we don't have anything to be installed in my system, and we are working on it. So everything we are working through the CLI. When we are working through the CLI, so it is a very lightweight. What we required, we are getting it. What we not required, we are not getting it. We are not giving load to our system, to our laptop, to our machine. So REST API and SDK are built on top of JSON RPC API. SDK is available in Google. Sorry, SDK available in SDK. Software development kit available in Go language. So here we have a Go language. Here we have a JavaScript, and here we have a Java in these. So Hyperledger, you can work with the Go language, JavaScript, and Java. Majorly, we are working on Go language and Java only. Majorly. In this we have additional, if you wanted to work with the Python, if you wanted to work with the Node.js, if you wanted to work with any other additional languages, you can add it, no problem in that. You can add this. So now let me give you the explanation about API. What exactly the API have some of the category. What are those? In that API category, let me go ahead in this manner. Yeah, API category, we have identity. In that identity, what we are doing, we are environment to get certificates or revoke a certificate, address, target, and resource of the transaction. And here we have unit of execution of on the ledger, chain code, program running on the ledger, blockchain, content of the ledger, network information about the blockchain network, storage, external storage for the file or documents, events, sub or public events on blockchain. That things would be here. Now, when we are talking about view control, so when we have this, so hope you are aware about the MVC architecture, model view control. In that model view control, what are the things would be we are using it? If we wanted to display something to the end user, that would be available into the view. If we wanted to display, okay. So at what time this session, till what time this session would be?
One, sir.
This session till 1, na? Okay. So can we take a break up to 12? No. By till 1 we have a session, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so that means we entered into the second session.
Yes, sir.
Oh, so will like normally I should not supposed to give you the explanations because I have to give you the practical scenarios ki what are the things would be on this. I thought ki I'm in first session only. So this session, I'll just give you the approach, how we are doing the practical and all. So let it be, no issue in that. So what we can do, can we take a break for 15 minutes now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So when we are coming back by 12 o'clock, right?
Yes.
Done.
Dear participants, please take break. Again, stay in this session only. So come back at 12 o'clock. Thank you. months.
Few
months.
herbs live for just a few months. Soft ആണ്, green plants ആണ്, very small ആണ്, അല്ലേ?
Shall we start now?
Small plants.
Yes, sir.
Shall we start now, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Please continue, sir.
Thank you.
പെട്ടെന്ന് go through.
So now, just giving you the last scenarios about the tools, and then finally I'll just give you the pattern, how we are developing the project, how we are doing the work on it, what are the things to be required in this. Hyperledger tools, in that we have already aware about it. Just hold on 1 minute. Yes. So now Hyperledger Cello, Hyperledger Composer, Hyperledger Explorer. These are the tools are here where we are working on it. So Hyperledger, we are working on which tools? So now what is that Hyperledger Cello, what it would be working? What is the Hyperledger Cello responsibility? It's aimed to bring the on-demand as a service deployment model on the blockchain ecosystem to reduce the effort required for creating, managing, and terminating blockchains. This is about the Hyperledger Cello. If we'll talk about Hyperledger Composer, it is a collaboration tool for building blockchain business network, accelerating the development of a smart contract and their deployment across a distributed network. If we'll talk about Explorer, so it can view, invoke, deploy, or query blocks, transaction, and associate data, network information, chain code, and transaction families, and
Hello?
as well as, yes,
Sir, please share the screen, sir.
yeah. Oh, sorry. And as well as others in ledger. So as we have already seen it, so now let me go ahead. I'll just give you the scenarios. What are the things? Cloud hosted. So MVC network topology. There are three potential deployment models: cloud hosted on network. So anyhow, you are aware about the cloud hosted one network. So that means you have a one network. In that network, you are just running your blockchain by own. You have just taken your own cloud network by creating it. Cloud hosted multiple networks. So you have a multiple network, peer-to-peer information you are giving it, peer-to-peer node you have connected. Participants hosted internet. So they have their own organizational internet and their participants are connected, either company in a normal way. So you no need to come into the public. Now that all the things I have already given you this notion that Rohi, what are the work of this? Let it be. Let's come back. Cello Explorer. Yeah, this is here we have to come. Business model architecture. How we are developing it. What are the things we are writing in this? So Hyperledger Composer. Toolset framework deployment application easier. Let it be. No issue in that. We have already just gone through it. If we'll talk about extensive familiar open source open development tools, so we have some code generation, we have integration, we have CLI utility, we have editor, we have data modeling, we have JavaScript business logic, we have web playground, we have client library. But web playground, they have deprecated. The IBM has deprecated. Let me show you from where IBM has deprecated. So see here, let me open this. Hyperledger Playground. Hyperledger Playground. I will open the Hyperledger Playground. They are just giving the information. Composer, chain code, getting start. Get started. This is the playground they are telling. Try Composer in the online playground. install development environment. There are two things. Either you have to go with the Composer in online playground, or you have to install development environment. If I'll click here, start here, I'm just starting. 404, no found requested root. That means they have just deprecated that, and right now no more online playground. So we have to use this one only. Install development environment. When I click on this install development environment, so we have, before you begin, in the same manner, you have to install npm install composer. Where you are installing these all the things, it cannot work in your window. It has to be work into your Linux or Docker. So npm install -g composer CLI, npm install composer REST server. So here you are creating the server, REST server. npm install generator hyperledger composer. Here you are generating hyperledger composer. npm install yo. So it is a generating applications tool. Here we have npm install -g composer playground. These all the things are prerequisite for developing the hyperledger. So here you have the VS Code. Anyhow, you can install, you can download the VS Code. Let me give you this. But where is it? Where is it? This one. Okay. What is it? This is link of the chat. Okay, this is the chat box link. So here is a link. You can see it. Install VS Code, install open VS Code in the same manner like how we have done on yesterday's session. In the same manner, install Hyperledger Fabric. So it's in the directory of your choice. Whatever the directory you wanted to install, you can take the directory and you can install it. Still start to install. It will take a lot of time to install. Even when I started this, to development on this physical training is nothing but onto the colleges, onto the companies. So physical training at that time, what I feel, it's taking minimum of 2 days also to getting installed due to this some network issue, some version issue, so something. And always, if you feel, please mute yourself. If you feel you will just copy these entire steps and you keep in your system, or you just keep with your email ID and all, that cannot be possible. The reason behind, every moment it can be changed. So now directory you are creating for the server, you're creating directory for the server for Fabric dev server, and then you're just installing it. It is a scripting controlling your dev environment, So here you are controlling your dev environment. What is this? Here you are giving the create peer admin card .sh. This is the main script of yours. This is the main thing. From here you are creating the admin card. Please mute yourself. Please, I'm requesting you. It's a highly request. Please mute.
పెట్టినప్పుడు ఆయనకి ఇది మాత్రం ఆయన దగ్గర నుంచి తీసుకున్నప్పుడు ఆ ఫార్మాట్ అంటే అందరూ ఫాలో అవుతారు కదా.
Sir, please unmute yourself, sir. Mehdi, sir.
Who has muted me?
Sir, I am only. So mute all. I click on mute all, sir. So
Okay. Yeah. So here we have this one admin card. You are just creating the admin card. So what question you asked na here and the previously, how we have to take care who will be the admin and who will be, how we will decide. This is participants. So this will be decided by this script. So here you have to give it the information. Now Composer Playground, start Composer Playground, and then next what we are doing here, this is Playground tutorial. So CLI, VS Code, all the tools you have, and you can install it and you can work on it in proper manner. Now let me go ahead. I'll just give you some more explanation on it. When we are writing this Playground tutorial, anyhow it's not working. development tutorial. Pre-request, we took this 2 steps. Yeah, now. So we have done these all the scenarios. After doing these entire scenarios, what we have to do, we'll have to come back to the shall we do hands-on with you? Hands-on, really it is not possible on this Hyperledger for this particular time. It is not possible. If you wish, so you just install the Linux in your system and start it to deploy the same scenarios. Whatever the things I'm just showing you, that you can directly install it. It cannot be work on your window. It is not possible. Not at all. I have installed the Docker. I'll just give you the Docker link, because normal Docker also you cannot install in your system, in normal system, because for the Docker you required the professional window, window 10 professional. That is 10 100% required and 2 professional. In home 10 we cannot use it. For example, if we talk about my system, my system also property. I'll give you the sample, I'll give you the explanation, I'll give you the sample code, how you are working on it. I'll give you the understanding the code development. I'll give you everything. Like I'll just create the elevation, but I cannot physically develop it in this span of time. See here, I have this window 10 home. For that you require window 10 and that too professional, not home. Then only you can install the Hyperledger. 32-bit, 64-bit. Then only you can install this Docker. And if you don't want it to go ahead with the Docker directly, you have to go with the Linux. Linux version also I'll give you. Linux also I'll tell you what Linux you have to use to install blockchain in your system. Sorry, to install the Hyperledger in your system. Every steps I'll tell you, but I'll not execute right now. It's not possible. Yeah. Is it possible on Mac? Yes. Is it possible? Just create the Docker. That's it. Nothing else. Create the Docker. It is possible on Mac. So I'll just show you all the link. I'll show you all the links. But direct Mac, it is not possible. Direct window, direct Mac is not possible. You have to create the Docker. Yeah. Now, in this manner, when we have done these are the things, after that, what we have to do, we will be ready with the environment. Like yesterday, what we have done, we have took these are the things. Did you observe now? When we have taken these are the things on this what we can say truffle, and then one structure got ready. So in the same manner, one structure will be ready. In that structure, what are the details will be available on this structure? Let me show you that structure. Any online support to do hands-on Hyperledger? It was, but not now. It was. If this question you could have to ask me before 6 months back, then I can say yes. Hyperledger Playground Composer. But right now it's not possible. They have eliminated. They have deprecated. No. So here, business model of architecture, in which manner this would be? In this manner we have. So in this you have assets participant transaction model file.cto. What is it? See here. In this, let me show you. This is what they're telling. Open the example network.cto. Did you understood? That in your program, when you are executing the program, so in that program, like yesterday, how we have done this, in the same manner, you will get one sample. In that sample, you have network.cto. In the network.cto, you have to give this information. What is it? What it's telling you? It's telling you my community trading network. This is the community trading network. In this namespace, organization, example network, entire things, copy this and paste there. But while you're copying and pasting, you have to do the changes as per your requirement. So string trading symbol, yes, obviously trading symbol string. So what is that? This is the globally. Have you observed this when we are working on Java or C or any programming language? So at that time we are just First we are defining and then we are assigning. So suppose we have written int a is equal to 10 in that manner. So here we have a string trading symbol. Trading symbol, you can give BTC, you can give ETH, you can give Zcash, anything you can give. Description, you have to give the description. String main change, main exchange. So you have to give main exchange ki what are the things you wanted to do with the extension exchanging. Double quantity, so quantity you have to give in a double manner. Trader owner identification you have to give in proper manner ki what type of owner. Participant in this, concentrate, this is the network, we are creating network right now we are not going to the permission, we are creating network only. So in this network we are just giving the trading data we are just storing in it. So data, while we are giving the data, so you have observed when you are opening this, any e-commerce site like Flipkart or Amazon, so those people also giving the data, okay, what is the product, who is the owner, what is the description of product, all the data, what is the quantity, how much quantity left and all, what are the quantity available, they used to give it. Participant trader identified by the trade id. So you are giving the trade id here, first name, last name, and transaction trade, commodity transaction or trade new owner. Commodity transaction, commodity, whatever the commodity you are using, you can give it. This one, save your changes to the org example network.cto. There you will have registered. I'll just give you the code. I'll show you the code. You don't worry about it. Additional JavaScript transaction logic. So now in this you are giving only the code, but whatever the logic you wanted to write, that logic you have to write in scripting only. That logic you have to write in scripting. Here you have to give assets. Here you have to give your logic, what logic you wanted to create to do the transaction. Here you have to give access control.acl, and you know what, cto.js, .acl, .qri, these all are the programming language. It's, you can say, advanced JavaScript. It is looks like JavaScript, but we have a bit advanced concept on it. So access control rules, access control, ACL, query definition, query file, QURY. So whatever the query you are giving, that would be available here. Access control will be available here, and then your logic will be available. And now finally, when you completed these all the things, you are just throwing your data into the business network architecture.bna. Hyperledger Fabric, cloud or local, web browser, Node.js, online. That you have to do with the online. In that manner, we'll have to go. Name here. Let me give you the model file. This is a model file identified by the assets, and then access control. This is the access control. Here only I have just given it. Yeah. Here I have given it model file. So you can have the model file. What is that? Namespace, group related type, specific keyword for defining assets. So these are the things what I have just explaining you the above. The same thing we have here also. So now transaction process, business network identification, how the business network identification will be, and that business network identification, access control list, transaction process, and then business network. This is the business network. In this manner you have to write all the data. So what is this name of that particular data, version of this, and description. Each business network identified has metadata associated. That metadata, anyhow, everyone are aware about the metadata. That is from starting onwards, you're writing the metadata. And then we are doing the business network deployment. In that business network deployment, we have a smart contract. We have business network definition, user code, and we have composer runtime R code. When we are talking about business network architecture, when we are talking about business network architecture, or we can say business network execution, so we have client application, and then assets, participants, and other resources to be stored in this area, and then a smart contract will be here, and here we have REST API. Client will communicate with this. Client submit standard blockchain, and then transaction processes functions. You know. So these are the things we have. Modeling and all playground, but it's extremely sorry we cannot go ahead with the playground. If you could have to go to the playground normal basis on like Ethereum, so I can show you, but it's not available right now. Before 6 to 7 months, they have deprecated. Okay. But anyway, let me give you the tools. What are the tools we are using? Oh. Let me give you the tools. What are the tools we are using in this? Okay. So see here, everyone, if you have laptop in your system, sorry, if you have a laptop or desktop, anything, and if you have a laptop or desktop with minimum of 8 GB RAM, minimum of i5, if you have less than 8 GB or i5, then don't go, otherwise it will be, your system will be slow, like how my system is slow right now. An 8th generation, but the problem is that I have n number of servers in my system, in my machine, so it's a bit slow. So if you have compatibility, you can go ahead. Now let me go ahead, I'll just tell you Docker Composer. So overview of the Docker Composer, you can just open this URL, Docker Composer, Control C, and then I'm just giving you this. See that I've just given you the scenarios. So here we have the complete URL. In this URL, what they're telling, Composer is a tool to define the runtime multi-container Docker applications. With Composer, you use YAML file, configure your application, least bother about it. I don't require to know about these all the things. Composer documentation, installing Composer, I don't require these all the things. Docker, okay. So here issues tracking that I'm just finding out. Release installation guide. Yeah. So what they're telling you can run Composer on Mac OS, Windows, and 64-bit Linux. Did you got understood? Mac OS, Windows, or 64-bit Linux. What they're telling here now? Here they're telling Docker Composer release on Docker engine of any meaningful network work. So make sure you have Docker engine installed either locally or remotely depending on your setup. So either you have installed through the cloud or you have installed through the system, it seems. On desktop system, MacBook and Windows, Docker Composer includes a part of those desktop install. Now till here, when you have seen this pre-request, hope everyone are going through this, right? Can anyone give me the response? Everyone are going through this URL? Okay, very well. So here, the moment you have seen the pre-request, you got, very excited. Ki, wow, very nice. I can install my Docker in my system. There's no problem. So what on Linux install, but that is not actual picture. On Linux system, first install the Docker engine. On your Mac OS, on your OS, describe the git Docker page and come back to here for instruction installation Linux system. Manage Docker non-root. Okay. Install different version, they are telling. Now the picture will come now. The picture will start now. Mac, Windows Server, Linux, alternative install option. Okay. In Mac, no problem in that. The moment I'm just going to install this, get Docker desktop for Mac. Get Docker desktop for Mac. Now see here, what is the things are coming when I gone to in this. Let me show you. Get Docker desktop for Mac. See here we have download GitHub. Now, shall we install if we have a Core i3 and 12 GB RAM? Sir, like some of the people, they used to think, okay, if we'll increase the RAM, so our performance will be increased. But I feel theoretical, it's fine, performance will be increased. But when we are coming to the practical, so increasing the RAM, it is more dangerous than normal RAM on your i3 processor or i5 processor, whatever it is. The reason behind, like suppose you have i3 and 12 GB RAM. What is your generation of your system machine? If your generation is 8th or 9, then it's fine. And if you have 8th generation, then your cache memory will be 6 MB. If you have 8th generation, then your i3 also cache memory is 6 MB. But if you have less than 8th generation, then you have a problem. Even it will give you a lot of problem when you are installing this 12 GB RAM, when you are coming into the development area. When normally if you are going ahead, there won't be give you any problem. Processor is comfortable with the cache memory, like multitasking, how you are working on it. Because when we are working on Hyperledger and also we have to do the multitask a lot. So I don't prefer it, but if you wish, you can go ahead, no problem in that. But I won't recommend in this. So when we install Docker, I think in BIOS we have to enable, yes, that is virtualization, you have to enable that. For example, see here, I'll just show you. That is, I'll just show you that scenarios. The practical scenarios I'll show you. This PC, not this PC. Window L. Window L. Oh, shit. Shit. I should not supposed to do window L. Oh, it will take time now. Yeah. So what is that? Control Alt Delete. I just took Control Alt Delete. Task Manager. When I open the Task Manager, so you can see here performance. When we come into the performance, so we can see here, what is it? Utilization, all the things, at least bother about it. Processor, virtualization, what is this? Enabled. So make sure this virtualization is enabled. So please check your performance through the task manager. And you see if virtualization is enabled, then you can go ahead. If this is not enabled, you cannot install. It is not possible. Yes. So you can go to the BIOS, and from the BIOS you can do the virtualization. Next concept is that now I'll just come back to my concept. Here I was. What they're telling? They're telling desktop, Mac OS, all the thing. Download. What they're telling? They're telling Docker desktop for the Mac is their community version Docker. Till now you are excited. Okay, very nice. There's no problem. Now go to the download from Docker Hub. When you enter into download from Docker Hub, then you will see this. Okay, what is that? Fastest and easiest way to get started with the Docker on Mac. See here. Docker on Mac, okay. Installation, what they are telling, see here, now the picture has started now. Docker desktop Mac must be version this one or newer. High series, this one. High series, this is the version of the, what is it? OS. And Mojave, this one. Catalina, this one. Mac hardware must be view all Mac OS. Okay. Now this is desktop for Mac and desktop for Mac. Let it be, run it. So in that manner it's running. Now, but everyone, most of the people, we have Windows. So to coming into the Windows, when we are coming into the Windows, coming to Windows, let me show you the Windows. In Windows, see here, What they're telling? They're telling Docker Windows community version download Dockers. Yeah, this page contains information on installation Docker Windows on Windows 10 Pro. Windows 10 Pro. Windows Home, it cannot be installed. Information about installation Docker window on Windows 10 Home. If you are going Windows 10 Home, there is some instruction. That instruction you have to go. So let it be. If you will go again Windows 10 Home instruction, then also you will get lots of error, and finally you are coming back and you will say, okay, yaar, it's not getting installed. What I have to do? Nothing I can do in that. So I'm just giving you the suggestion how you have to go Windows 10. If you have an old system, then you no need to directly download from this side, because from this side you will get advanced version only, and it's not possible for you to do it. Then what you have to do? I have one. Yeah. See this. Here, let me give you on chat this data. This is I have given on chat. So just copy this entire things and paste into your notepad. Copy this entire thing, paste into your notepad. Now from here we have to download Docker. From here we have to download Docker. The moment you're downloading from here Docker. Oh, 1 minute. So here first what we have to do, there is an option. What I have to do here, we have to download Docker, download VirtualBox. If you are downloading only Docker, if you have Windows Pro, then it's fine. Windows 10 Pro, then it's fine. You can go ahead with the Docker. Only Docker directly, you just hit on that, double click on that. But if you don't have, you have to go to the VirtualBox. So anyhow, everyone aware about the VirtualBox, how we have to install the VirtualBox. So Oracle, VirtualBox. So here you can download the Oracle VirtualBox. Here we have download. Here you can download it. Window hosts. Here you can download VirtualBox. So you can download VirtualBox also. When you are downloading VirtualBox and when you are downloading Docker, so everyone, do you have Docker and VirtualBox both? Are you following me or not? I mean, there's any lag of communication, anything, anywhere you stuck? Or is it okay? You're following it? Yes, no, maybe. Anyone can respond on chat. Done. So here VirtualBox. So what you have to do, make sure, but in this manner also, if you are going with the older one, then also please make sure you have 8 GB RAM at least, but not having downloads following, but not having downloads. So no problem in that. You just directly see here. I'll just click on this. So VirtualBox, I just click on that window host. The moment I click on this, so automatically my software will be downloading. Virtual software will be downloading for the window. VirtualBox will be downloading. After that, what you have to do? You have to go to this instruction. Which instruction I have given? Where is that instruction? This is the instruction. Oh, shit. This is, I've given you an older, this is C Docker for window, Docker version. Let me go ahead, this one. So I just gone through it. So what I'll do, I'll just take this Docker for window, open this. zoom, and I just paste here this. When I paste here, we got Docker. This Docker, what they're telling, get Docker for Windows. Docker, get Docker for window. Oh, that is a Docker. No, that we don't require. For old system, GitHub. Just go to the GitHub for old system. And from here, you can directly download this Docker tool. This Docker tool, you have to install it, download it. When you download this Docker tool, directly you should not start. You should not double click on this. You know, if you're double clicking on this, it will ask you some more instruction. So instead of directly double clicking on this, so what you have to do, just download it. After downloading, you will have your, let me show you into the download. Download. After downloading, you have this Docker toolbox. If you're downloading this Docker desktop installer, it will not work. It will give you the error, installation fail, because didn't meet the entire requirement. So Docker toolbox, what you have to do, you have to install first VirtualBox. After installation of the VirtualBox, you have to start Docker installation. You have to start Docker. While you are installing the Docker, I have already installed it. So let me see whether it would be work or not now. It's installing or not. Once again, it take much time even to open also. It's a very heavy file. Yes. When I click yes, setup, it is a setup. It is a next. When I click on next, they are asking me Docker client window, Docker machine for window. That is a hidden manner because I have it. Docker composer for window. Docker composer for window. You wanted Docker composer for window? Yes, I want. You want VirtualBox? No, I don't want VirtualBox because anyhow I have already taken. You want Catmatic for window? Yes, I required. You want Git for window? Yes, I required. So if you wanted to get this, you can get it. If you don't want, no need. What do you want? You just check box. What you don't want, you just check box. And then next, 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 and then finally done. After that, when you will complete this, so either you can open through the VS Code, sorry, Visual Studio. No, not Visual Studio. VirtualBox. How we are opening into the VirtualBox? Let me show you. Here we have VirtualBox. And Docker, what is the benefit of the Docker? Docker benefit is this, it is a lightweight virtualization and you can do the work from your Windows. You can treat your window as a Linux. You can treat your window as a Mac to work on anything. And you can access to the cloud and all directly. Now, sorry, VirtualBox, Oracle VirtualBox. I just open this. Yeah, you can install it. So you do one thing. Have you downloaded this VirtualBox? First, you have to download the VirtualBox because if you will not download first VirtualBox, so Docker will take a lot of time to installation of the VirtualBox in your machine. First, you make sure you have downloaded the VirtualBox. How will you download the VirtualBox? I have just given you forwarded you the link. Okay, how you can forward VirtualBox. How you can download the VirtualBox. Here you just open this, download, and then finally here we have window hosts. Just click on this. The moment you'll click on this, it will downloading. It is downloading, but it is 102 MB size. I have already downloaded. I'm canceling it. Next, after downloading this, you just go to the where is it? This one. Go to this old system, because anyhow 100% you don't have new system, 100% you don't have professional or pro, you have only home. The 99% users are using home only. So directly you go to this URL, type the URL, and then go to the down, and from here you just download this Docker toolbox, 231 MB Docker toolbox. Yes, yes, this is Oracle VirtualBox only. I have installed Oracle VirtualBox only. See here, I just given you the link, Oracle VirtualBox only, no? It's Oracle VirtualBox only. VirtualBox. You can install it. Let's just see here. Now, VMware VirtualBox. So normally, like what exactly the things would be here? We are not going ahead to develop any window, to install any window, to install any, Linux on my VirtualBox. Then why we are going ahead with another scenarios here? Just install the VirtualBox. It will give you lots of compatibility. All the compatibility we will give it. And then finally, we are just installing the Docker, and Docker, while we are installing the Docker, it will be connected with the VirtualBox, but it will work into your system. That means you have installed the Docker in your system, in your window. That's it. You're working on window with the server. I'll show you. Now, see here. So hope everyone has downloaded this. After downloading, what we have seen, we have first install the VirtualBox and then install the Docker. When we install the VirtualBox and Docker, so we can see VirtualBox I have here. We can see default something got automatically involved in this VirtualBox automatically. We have not done anything. Automatically it got installed. So what we have done, we have just installed the VirtualBox. After that, the moment we hit the execute button, submit button, or we can say installation button for the Docker, so automatically the Docker has configured into the VirtualBox. Just hit open, double click on this. The moment I double click, or you can run or you can start. The moment I double click on this, so see here, it will take some time, but I don't require to do the work in this VirtualBox, because anyhow I'm not working on VirtualBox. Why unnecessary I'll do the VirtualBox work when I can do the work on my local machine? So here you will get error, you will get something, you'll get something. Finally it will load. It will load finally. Booting the kernel, decompressing Linux, pressing ELF, all the things they are giving the information. So now starting, Docker is getting start automatically. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to configure anything. You don't need to do anything. Automatically it will do. Now finally our Docker is ready. Finally. So we can work on this in the virtual machine. If we wanted to work on virtual machine, we can do the work on virtual machine. Now, but I have already installed into our local machine also Docker, so I don't require this virtual machine. Let me close it. If you have installed this virtual machine in this, so now I just wanted to check it out, the Docker version. So we can see it, all the versions, and every information is here. If you have not installed the VirtualBox in your system, you cannot install the Docker in your machine. So now I'm just canceling it. Okay. Power off, machine, send to shutdown signal. Okay, power off. Okay. I just close this virtual box. When I close this virtual box, now let me open my Docker. How you can activate the Docker? It's taking time to download. Yes, it will take time to download. It is not a small size file. So anyway, if you have downloaded, you have installed it, then you can see here two, what we can say. What is it? Icon. Two icon you will get. One is Catmatic Alpha, another is Docker Quick Start. So I'll have to click on Docker Quick Start. No, sir, I think you are installing that one, 391 MB. You are installing GitHub or the newer one, I mean, advanced one, user 83. You are installing from GitHub or you are installing from directly Docker, user 83. Docker side, so you make sure you have a new system and you have window professional. Otherwise, your all the stuff will be wasted. पूरी मेहनत बर्बाद हो जाएगी आपकी. If you are installing directly from the Docker. Hub Docker Edition Windows. No, you just don't think about this i7 and 8 GB. Just think about this one. See here. Let's see what is it. Oh. What is it? This PC property. This one. You just check it out. This one. If you have home single, sorry, Windows 10 home, then it cannot be possible. Let me show you. I'm trying to install in my system only. Let me see that. I'll show you. See here. I'm trying to install this one. I have directly installed that 390 or 400, whatever it is. I'm just installing. I'll show you what is giving you the error message. Windows 8.1 not at all possible. Not at all possible the direct. I don't think so it will work. Windows 8.1 Pro. I don't think so it will work. Here I have just already I installed directly. I downloaded from the Docker site and I'm just trying to install it. Now see what is the things is happening. Let's take a bit time. Installing Docker. It's just telling me that they're installing Docker. Yeah, see here, not responding. Let's get it respond and then we'll see that what error message it will show. Downloading. Now see here, in a same manner in your system also it will do like this. Docker desktop downloading, not responding, whatever it is. What is this? Installation failed. One request is not fulfilled. What is that? Docker Windows 10 Pro Enterprise. Let me open the magnifier. In the magnifier. See here. This error I got. The Docker desktop required Windows 10 Pro Enterprise, Windows 10 Home. This one. So if you have Windows 8 or if you have n number of GB, doesn't matter, but this requirement is this. So it's better you just go ahead into the normal way that GitHub, from the GitHub you can install it. Yes, it is a problem of version only. Version, not Docker version. It is a problem of our system version because they are expecting more advanced system. So why we are just unnecessary? How we can resolve it? No, you no need to resolve. I have given you no any suggestion. Not see here. Docker, the same thing. What Docker is it? Directly from the site. The same Docker you are installing, you are downloading from the GitHub. But that is the old version. That's it. See here. If you have OS version now, this is go ahead, download from here. Same Docker. Download from here, same Docker. So you no need to worry about your version. You no need to worry about the problem and all anything. Nothing. No problem you have. No, it cannot work because normally if you are using genuine window, then it's fine. They can, upgrade or they can downgrade. They can charge you something. But if you are using pirated window, so I don't think so. Is it really possible in this? So you can directly go to the GitHub. From there you download instead of downloading through the Docker. Okay. Well, so you can download it. You can download it. And then finally, what you have to do is starting the Docker. And then we have to get the sample application I have, fabric samples. So Hyperledger fabric samples. This is I have in this fabric sample. Fabric sample. So this is Hyperledger. GitHub. Hyperledger fabric sample. So from here you can download the sample of this Hyperledger. What purpose we required fabric sample? No, that is for understanding purpose. That's not, that is a pure complete developed code. It is a developed code I'm just giving you. From here you can download sample. That is a sample code. You can understand what is the, how we are creating the package, how we are creating the file, how we are creating the wallet, how we are creating the entire application, that things. That's it, nothing else. So if you install in proper manner all the way of your Docker, of your everything, so you can install your application from the GitHub. This is the Docker application. In this asset transfer basic, asset transfer secure, chain code Docker, chain code CI, commercial paper, fabcar. Now how we are starting this sample? Now see here how we have to start this sample. I have to go here. This is the sample. And in this fabcar, here we have Go language. Just download the sample and see that, because we are almost running out of time. So package or Docker exe, Docker exe, Docker exe. If you will install, so what you can do directly, you can type cmd command prompt on your system and then Docker version, enter. Yeah, I have a Docker in my system, in my machine right now. I'm pretty much confident now I can develop a Hyperledger fabric with my system also. With my system is nothing but with my window also. No problem. I don't require any Linux and all. If you're still looking for the Linux, for that particular, whatever the things we have followed the steps, if you're following that step, you can go ahead and that. Creating cloud environment or for any other purpose. So it is, okay, which one is that required? Docker is required for, no, either cloud or local. Either cloud or local, because everything you are getting from the cloud or local, anything. It's your wish. I have created for the local purpose. I have not created for the cloud purpose. But still, still you have to use cloud when you are working on Hyperledger. Ubuntu 20.4, Ubuntu 16.4 is a pretty much good if you got. So you can get this Ubuntu and all from here. See here, I'll just show you. OS boxes, osboxes.org, osboxes.org. So see here how slow it's started. osboxes.org. VirtualBox, so they have changed it. UI. Kali, Linux, VMware, Ubuntu, whatever you want for the VMware. So 1 minute. VM images, VirtualBox images, VM images. So here you get all the images to be ready in this OS boxes. Android, okay. Download images, Debian, Fedora, Kali, KDG, Fedora, Kubuntu, Linux, Lubuntu, OpenSUSE, all the Linux are here. So I want Ubuntu. So you can get this Ubuntu, this one. So go ahead and you can download it. No problem in that. है ना? So this is OS Boxes is the best site from where you can download any of the images of Ubuntu's or Windows or anything. And download. Yes, got it. So from here you can download any images, but I feel 16.4 is the best, Linux where you can go ahead and you can download the very nicely Hyperledger in your system locally. There's no problem. You follow that step. Even I'll just forward you the steps. There is a steps of this. So Hyperledger steps. Let me forward it. Let me forward the steps. So desktop C drive. In that C drive 2019, and in this blockchain stuff. Blockchain BLO blockchain stuff, and that blockchain important nodes, important software, blockchain demo, blockchain crypto chain, important images, no problem, important nodes, set up Ethereum private blockchain. If you wanted to set up the Ethereum in private blockchain in your Linux, this is the things would be you can use it. If in Linux you are doing the work. In this manner, you can connect with the Ethereum completely. This is the Ethereum. Please go through it. Please execute below commands on environment setup, sudo apt-get update, sudo apt-get and install curl, install Debian, install this, all the things. You can install it. This is for what? Linux. Sir, in Docker, can we create nodes and run our blockchain? Yes. For that purpose, only the Docker we are creating here. This is only the reason we have just given you the sample also. Here you have a sample. You can test it, you can create it, you can do anything over here. Ethereum blockchain data, connect with the master Ganache, Ethereum, Ganache, Hyperledger. Let me see that whether this Hyperledger is a setup or explanation, because I have a setup also. Docker we can create node. Yeah. Now how will you do it? Okay, this is the explanation. Now see here, I'll tell you. I'll just give you the how you can execute. You got the sample, right? Once you got the sample, in that sample you have to see where is your starting data, from where you have to start the complete. So here FabKit, there we have network start fabric sh. By the help of start fabric sh.sh, you are just starting your hyperledger. Now how we can do it? Let me show you this. Anyhow, Docker already installed in my machine. So when Docker already installed in my machine, I'm just typing out start fabric.sh. Is not recognize internal or external. Okay, Control C, CD, enter, enter, CLS, and then start fabric.sh, enter. So it's just starting it, the fabric. This is the fabric, it's getting start, but it will not start, it will break it because I have to do lots of changes into the sample. See here, stopping network. So that means we have not connected with the network. So like how you have connected to the yesterday, I just given you the explanation. Now we are just connecting with the Ganache and all. So here also you have to do it. How come? Let me share once again the screen. Now is it visible?
No, sir. No, sir.
Also no. Oh.
Yes, sir. Okay. Yes, sir.
Yes. So now see here, I have downloaded the sample. I think you people also have downloaded the sample. If you have installed the Docker in your system, so just go here, and here you have this FabCar. In this FabCar, this is the Go language. Go. This is a Java. Whatever the data you required, wallet and all, everything will be available on this. So here src, and that's src Java org example client test.java. Did you observe that what I was giving you the COT and all JavaScript and all? So these are the things we have here. Packages, examples, null, client test, everything you have in this area. So here we have Fokker, and here we have start fabric. So to start fabric, we'll just go to our CMD. Make sure you have installed the Docker. Then only you can do the testing and all. Otherwise, it's not possible to do the testing to create the blockchain. Now, fabric sh. So it's trying to start, but it will not. It is trying to start, it will not. Why? Because network has not connected. That is the scenarios of it. And more, again, join your screen is not visible. Okay, so that's all the things I have given you as of now. What are the things you required, and the steps of Docker, and one by one, like step by step, I'll just give you the content. So at the session of by 2 o'clock, when we'll start the session, at that time I'll just give you that material in which manner you can go ahead step by step. You can install the run your Hyperledger on your Linux, not Docker. Docker is not that only, nothing else you have to do. You just install the Docker and connect with your VS Code, and that sample you have to store into the VS Code, and you just do it, practice on it. So I'm done for this session, for the second session. So we'll start by 2 o'clock the second session.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Dear participants, again our afternoon session will start at 2 o'clock. Please come back at 2 o'clock, all of you. So please join all of you at the session mentioned in the calendar at 2:30. So the session will be started 2 o'clock.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.